Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Wild Earth Safari this morning. My name is Mark, and Daniel and Becky are on camera this morning. Seb is in final control, and we're about to head out. A really beautiful morning here at Yuma Game Reserve. Clear skies. We're about to see a beautiful sunrise. But before we do, we have a very special moon setting, and we can't show you the full moon rise, but at least this morning, that beautiful moon set. Oh, and of course we had that fantastic eclipse last night. That was quite something to see. We're not going to see that for quite some time to come. And before I get in and shake the car, if we can just maybe zoom in again. I think as long as it's still up for a few minutes, we'll see if we can find a nice dead tree to put it against. Okay, let's take a little trip through Yuma and see what has been moving around during the night. Not so cold this morning yet. Our temperature last night might have something to do with the moon. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that. Crossed over and went that way, so let's go straight. I wonder. There was the sticks had come across somewhere from Chitwa onto Torchwood, and also what else was there? Machinga lines. There were the two sticks that stole a kill from a Fufunyan yesterday. Interesting. Now I wonder. Tracks going up here. Might have crossed the open area and gone down to the dam, or they might have gone past the lodge. Do you know if there were guests in the lodge last night? Lion here in the open area. And it was a full moon. The wildebeest aren't here. Just when all the women came, the females came back. The lion come back. There were a few tracks of the wildebeest going north. As we do have impala here, and there were nyala, and here there's zebra. So iron tracks tend to head towards the lodge. We're going to go around the lodge to pretty much what we did yesterday, or what we did the day before, what we ever do every day. That's quite interesting that there was lion here. Now, this is a bachelor herd of impala. And there's Bo, he's still alive. Third from the right. Impala ram. We'll get to see him now.
An impala.
Huh? Pardon?
Third from the right impala.
One, two, he's now fourth. No, that's not him. Where'd he go now? Oh, that is him. See, he's got horns that are all skew. This one on the left. Yeah, that one. That's got his head down. Oh, there's the sun coming. Sorry, I'm chasing the camera around. The sun's just popping up over the horizon. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to South Africa. And welcome to the Greater Kruger National Park. Large areas. Oops. Here comes the sun. Little darling. And I say it's all right. Okay, let's get down. This is the dam. Now, there's another reason to go to the dam, and that is because Karula and her children were there last night. Yesterday afternoon. Everyone was down at the dam doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that for the camera. Doing a waterhole cam. And while they were working, lo and behold, Karula appeared on the other side of the dam to introduce herself to Becky. And the lion must have gone through the lodge, so we'll have to see what happens when we get on this way. Zebra making their way to water already. I see hippo out of the water too. Oh, that is rather incredible. So we're going into low ground now. Oops. So we're gonna not be able to see it again. Look at that. You can change the size of the moon depending on what your foreground is. Zebra have just snorted as they were making their way to the dam. And guinea fowl are complaining a little bit. Perfect timing. The moon set, sunrise. Only today.
That is incredible.
Although tomorrow we'll have some nice shots too, but it'll be in about 40 minutes time. And of course the sun will be up sometime already by the time the moon sets. Guinea fowl are complaining. Morning, Linda. How are you doing? How do I feel when I look at the moon and I think of the fact that humans have walked on it? And does it change my view of the moon? Well, I think I'm envious. I wish I could go, maybe walk on it, but I wish I could go to the moon, or close to it, to be in orbit and to see both the Earth and the moon. Morning, Aubrey Abel. Ngala Nkonzo on quarantine, heading west. East. I'm going to check down at the dam. Crossed the quarantine, heading east. Looks like I might have gone through the lodge. I'm just going to check on the other side. And Karula and Mampimpan were at the dam yesterday afternoon sometime. Outside the area again. Can't wait for this camera to be up and running, because people will be able to tell us in the morning what they see coming past the dam. You used to. Sign of a cat yet. We've got a pied kingfisher here at the dam for a change. Yeah. if he's going to come out. Hippo just behind the bush. Don't misunderstand this really slow gait of this hippo. When a hippo needs to move, they can move faster than a human. And if you think you can outrun one, you've got another thing coming, because I don't think even the likes of Mr. Bolt, Usain Bolt, would have a bit of a problem. And they're also able to turn very quickly. What Hippo's doing now is it's actually spraying its dung. A form of advertising, a form of communication. Territory. Spreading his scent. Normally sprayed against a bush. They have this paddle-like tail, and they flick the tail rapidly from side to side, spraying the dung. Excuse me. I think, yeah, a few of the females in the dam. He's just wandering around, making sure that other hippo know that he is the boss. Maybe go a little bit further, try and follow him a little bit. Go closer to the lodge. Around September, October. Did we have rain then? It's still quite dry, but there must have been enough insects around to pollinate them this season, this summer. Sorry, guinea fowl. and nice big wasn't lion though. But the Franklin's shouting on the other side of the dam. Aubrey, come in.
Go ahead, man.
Aubrey, you might have some luck on Mbubu Road. Some guy came down, access driveway into the car park at Vuya's. Probably went through the lodge onto Mbubu Road. Nothing yet. Welcome to Vuya Taylor. Hello and goodbye. They're Franklin shouting down in the lodge. I wonder if that might not be them. That's almost where camp is. Our camp. Morning, Diane from New Zealand. Hope everything's going okay. We get worried about you when we hear about all these earth tremors that are going on. More earth tremors in New Zealand. I wonder if those Franklins aren't making a noise because of these lion. Diane was asking, are hippos' tusks also considered ivory like elephant tusks? The answer is yes, actually they are. They're also a much finer grain ivory because they're small, well, smaller tusks are more compact. Warthog as well, also considered ivory. It is now illegal, it's almost as illegal to be in possession of or dealing in things like hippo and warthog ivory or tusks. I don't see where these lion came through, but they did. So it's going to be back to the dam. Ngala. Ngala. I got guests. Two guests, I think, actually. Must have. There was a car in the park. Staff wouldn't park there. Okay, so in keeping with tradition of the last few days, backwards and forwards and back, we're going back across the dam again. I'm not going to do Gallagher shortcut, we're going to go to the dam because I'm going to go up Mbubu Road. We're going to come down to the lodge from the other side. Beautiful morning. Now, Aubrey was on Wiffles of Cutline, and I didn't hear him say anything about lion tracks crossing there, so there's a good possibility they're still south of our side of Wiffles of Cutline, which is promising. Not going to get too excited as yet. Geese are fighting again. It's not fighting. Oh, look, we got a jacana with little ones. There's 3, 1, 2 juvenile baby jacanas down here. I wish we could see their toes, because when a jacana is as young as this, their toes are longer than their bodies. I think the one on the left is jealous. The one on the right, this one must have caught something. Now the adult that is here will be the male, because the female doesn't have anything to do with the raising of the children. This will be dad. And it's quite incredible actually, because when they are younger, possibly even still at this age, he will hide them under his wing if there's danger. Nice to have noticed this. Now, I'd like to have seen it last week. They would have been a lot smaller last week. Lily trotters, the African jacana. Okay, let's get on to Ngubu Road. Someone we haven't seen for a while. Oh, off he goes. The Daker stopped again. Gone. Sorry. Gone. Common Daker. We can start seeing the Daker and Stenbuck a lot more now that the grasses are flattening and drying. Leopard dung. Leopard tracks. That would be Karula, yes, from yesterday. So she came from the spillway. Ellen in Illinois. Good morning to you. How are you doing this morning? Asking about what animals do in the likes of a storm that we had the other day, well, a few weeks ago. They do take cover. Some animals do, some animals just put their heads down and wait it out. But yeah, some animals would seek cover in drainage lines. There's not really much they can do, and also it was such a quick thing. It came, it hit, it was gone within 10 minutes. And as far as casualties are concerned, not to my knowledge, Ellen, I don't know of any casualties from the storm. I have no doubt that maybe a bird or two might have been lost. From Elaine. Sorry, I didn't get that. Oh, Vivian. Sorry. Morning, Vivian. Do hippos hold their breath? Excuse me. Or do their nostrils close? Well, their nostrils and their ears close. Their nostrils close automatically. Considered a sphincter muscle, as far as I know. But they do hold their breath, and they can hold their breath for 5 to 8 minutes sometimes. We have hippo tracks, old rhino tracks. But I thought I saw, there we go. Karula. Could have gone up that way. And then came back again here. Karula went north along Bubu Road. See if we can find where these lion went now. Yeah, Karula's tracks. But that would have been yesterday. She could be anywhere. Even at Timbuktu Dam. no sign here of anyone. It's worth a try, I guess. There was a Franklin shouting down here. Vulture's nest. See? Lion tracks and vulture's nest. Now that I would say then maybe there's lion coming this way. How we can tie that lion track at vulture's nest to the lion track coming into the lodge. Another story. Actually got to try and make a connection between lion tracks at vulture's nest and lion tracks coming from the west of the open area of quarantine east across the open area into the lodge. Graham, come in. Which way is that Galam Konzo heading on vulture's nest? Going north. Go, Abel. Okay. That is probably all the same in Konzo that's going into the lodge. Okay, copied. Also Karula and Konzo on Bubu Road heading north. Then there are lion tracks at the gate. Oops. I saw something beige through the trees. Might just be sunlight on a rootstock or something. More lion tracks near the gate going into Simbambili, but here lion tracks are now. I've got Karula tracks and lion tracks. Also Ngala Mkonza heading north on the Mbubu Road. Karula was here and she was... Here's Lion here. Hello. And there's another female lying down, just waiting for this one to lie down. Hello. Girls. Tumafaz and Gal on Bubu Road. Wonderful. See, patience pays off. Doesn't always happen when the day that you find things and you find them that day. Sometimes it takes a few days to get there eventually. I don't know if I have my cards here. I wanted to continue to show you how to make notes of Lion. I have a pencil. Try and figure out who they are. I'm sure they're probably... Well, no, I'm not that sure. You see, if we've got lion tracks coming on... lion tracks everywhere. We've had sticks in the southeast, and the lion tracks that are in the northwest are probably Kahumas. Southeast is sticks. And with all this movement, it could be sticks, but it could be Kahuma. She's really a beautiful cat. What I'm going to do, I'll make it easier for you. I'm just going to go forward and then reverse over here, so we're facing her a little bit more. Just a weird angle. The idea was just to let her relax, because as I was driving up, she got up, and then of course I couldn't keep my mouth shut, and I said it a little bit too loud. Let's Lion, and I think that disturbed her. The other one has moved deeper into the bush, and before the other vehicles arrive, I just want to get into a different position. I just picked up a male lion somewhere on Whippleshoek. Uh-oh. My door open. I mean, the other door. Try and close this door. I'm glad she didn't see that as an invitation. Let's see where that second one went to.
I was trying to locate it.
Pardon?
It's in this long grass here.
Is she? Just in the long grass somewhere ahead of us.
Yes, this is her just over here. There she is. I think. See that like low acacia
Yeah.
and that dead tree? Just between the low acacia and the dead tree, behind the grass.
Okay.
Or if you draw a line down from that dead
Yeah, I see her. Yeah. Yeah. Just moved her ear and the other lioness. I can't really see her. Both of them are in about exactly the same position. I mean, they're both curled up almost. There's a little bit of a cool wind that's coming in from the north now. Oh, that light on the most perfect light to be seeing lion. Okay, now who was it that posted that picture yesterday? Because it wasn't Rich. Was it Joanne? There was that lovely photo posted of me looking backwards with my binoculars and a lion posing in front of the vehicle, and we've actually got that exact scenario now. I can turn around and look backwards through my binoculars, and you can actually do a screen cap of almost that exact thing if she was to sit up. Life imitates art. How's that for a wish come true from the moon? I would have loved to spend time with these cats in the moonlight last night, but of course it wasn't possible. We were out on the open area, quite a few of us, watching the eclipse. There's some pretty impressive cameras, so maybe there were some nice photos that we can put on then maybe, or Becky, someone can maybe post a photo of the eclipse on Safari Channel page. Unfortunately, we're going into a time of day when lions are going to be sleeping mostly, but we are going to sit here for a while. We're going to spend some time with them. The sun's going to be warming things up. She might eventually move to go into the shade, although with the cold wind blowing and at this time of the year, that's not as predictable as it would be in summer. It's quite possible that she'll just lie in the sun for a little bit just to warm up. And the cat's listening to something. Good to see the position of her ears pointing forward. Well, Barbara, this should have just answered your question. Looking at the other lioness, there are two lionesses here. Barbara was wondering if this one was on her own and whether that's unusual. Not all that unusual to find a lioness on their own. Not all unusual to find any lion on its. Well, only thing it would be that unusual would be find a cub on its own. Not uncommon. Oops. Lioness has heard something and she's been listening. This is an old girl. Right on top of it. Rubbing Post Dam Wall, this is a male lion. Lovely sharp white canines of this young female. This could be the old girl and the young female. Didn't like the old one rolling on top of her. So now she's going back to where the other lioness was. Doesn't particularly feel like company this morning. Whereas the other one seemed to want to have a little cuddle. I'd like to see. I managed to get a quick glimpse as she yawned. An indication of age and condition. Looking at those teeth when she yawned, got a brief glimpse of some really nice sharp canines. I'd be interested to have any comments or any suggestions from any of you who might think they know who these lionesses are. Although we haven't really been able to look at spot patterns yet or any particular ear markings. She's got that, I'm sure it's the old sticks girl, she's got that right ear that's a bit funny. So she should be quite easily recognizable, easier than that young female or younger female. A younger female still a pretty big strong lady. She heard something again. Good vehicle. Rachel, what happens if a lioness has lost her pride? Will she be accepted into another pride? Not likely. Lioness that's lost her pride. Remember we had, I don't know if maybe you weren't with us in the time, but a couple of years ago we had a lioness that lost her pride. And the pride was known as the Sandy Patch Pride, and she became known as Sandy Patch Lioness and eventually just Sandy Patch. And well, she eventually passed on because it was rather difficult for her to look after herself and her cubs. The thing is that there isn't a norm. There isn't a set rule as to what happens. So any number of things can happen. And it depends on the health and vigor of the lioness involved. If she's a strong young lioness, she can do fine on her own. I've known a number of lionesses raising their cubs on their own and making it to old age, raising cubs successfully. Now it happens sometimes what I would term a splinter group of a pride, where a pride is fairly large and a lioness goes off to have cubs away from the pride. She's still within the pride's territory, but she spends time alone and she never really interacts with the rest of the pride with her cubs. And I've always thought that the reason for that is because the cubs that are being raised are not destined for staying with the pride. They're destined to become nomadic cats that will go off and start their own pride somewhere else. So it's not always doom and gloom. It's not always a death sentence for a lioness if she loses the rest of her pride. I don't know what happened with the 2+1. I don't recall really knowing that pride at all. I mean, they were a Buffelshoek going east to Nkoro. They're not a group of lion that we ever really got to see. In fact, I doubt whether, I'm trying to think if I ever did even see them. So I can't really comment on anything about that particular scenario where that lioness is now on her own. Well, it's now 1+1, I guess. Don't know. The male that they've now got on Buffelshoek is probably the male from 2+1, if I'm not mistaken. Let me find out for you. Abel, come in. Abel, that's my daughter. Which one is that? Okay, copy, thanks. Yes. Okay. Saying it looks like the...
I'm coming to your place there, please, because that's not too much positive.
Okay, copied. He's saying it looks like the young Sticks male. This be a miracle if he's still around. I've got a funny feeling this is the old lady of the Sticks with that young female. It's quite far north for them. But then, the only lion that I've known to come through camp like that are the Sticks. And the Kahumas have come close to camp, but not through camp. I wouldn't be surprised if there are tracks coming right through our little part of camp. Thank you, Joanne. Well, Joanne is confirming that this is Grandma and the young Sticks female. I thought so too. Heike, good morning to you. Glad you're enjoying the lions with us. How fast can a lion run? Well, their initial burst of speed when they first take off after an animal can reach up to about 60 kilometers an hour. But they can't sustain that for very long. They sustain speed for slightly longer distances than just that initial burst. Probably about 50 kilometers an hour. But lions are by no means fit cats. In fact, none of the cats are very fit. And I suppose it's not so much of a fitness issue as much as it is a question of energy conservation. The three different cats that we have, the three big cats, are all hunting the same food. Now, when you look at the herbivores that eat the same food, nature divides them up into different, what we call trophic levels for the browsers. They're all different sizes, so they can all reach different parts of the tree. And when it comes to the grazers, it doesn't matter how big you are, you can still reach the grass. So to split the competition up, nature has decided that some animals will eat the top part of the grass, some the middle part of the grass, and then some animals will eat the shorter part of the grass. When it comes to the predators that are all eating the same food, if they all did everything the same way, the competition would be too stiff. So nature has to divide things up there as well. So the three large cats have different hunting methods, but they also have different habitat preferences. And neither one of them can really run the way hyena or wild dog can run. So lion, I would say, are sort of in the middle. Leopard at one end of the scale, very short distance runners. They're very powerful, but it's a very short distance that they will run after an animal before they give up and conserve energy to try again. For leopard, it's probably about 20 to 30 meters, maybe 50 tops. For lion, we're talking about maybe 100 or so meters before they give up. And then cheetah will run to maybe 300 meters, 400 tops before they give up. I don't know how far a lion would be able to sustain a speed of 50 kilometers an hour. I don't think very far. I have to move because the only angle to see them is where I am. Wavon. Pardon? Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Oh, that's great. One of our viewers on the other vehicle from Cheetah Plains. Always nice to have people come and visit.
Do you have any friends at home that you want to say hi to?
I think so, yes.
Is it? Should we get you on camera? Can you pan to him so he can wave to his friend? I see.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, I did get that. Somebody did mention to me that it was the lioness that passed away at Nkoro in front of the camera was the other lioness of the 2+1. But I'm just not familiar with that group at all. I'm just not familiar with the lion. I heard what happened.
It's okay to drive up there?
Yeah. One very lucky guy got an entire safari vehicle on his own. Should have asked Abel if he saw any tracks of Karula. Well, it looks like this is going to be the most activity we're going to get out of these two lions, what we've seen already. And I think maybe we should head up to the fire break and go east a little bit. Let's go and find something else. With two lionesses like this lying in the grasses, if anything came by, and there's a good chance that something could come by, they can immediately go into hunting mode, but it could take 5 minutes and it could take 5 hours. Maybe we'll come back a little later sometime. Didn't get much of that, but I think I got the gist of it. Elaine, Ellen or Elaine, asking, how do we know it's Karula's tracks? Elaine, well, partly because the cubs' tracks are here too. And I can be 100% sure it's Karula's because she was seen at the dam yesterday afternoon heading north. And the likelihood of there being another female leopard here with cubs after a leopard with cubs was seen here is, I think you probably got a better chance of winning the lottery. So for today, I'm 100% sure that this was Karula. Let me just talk on the radio. Sorry, I'm supposed to do these things. Thanks, Abel, pulling out. Leaving lock to Ngalo, Abel in lock. So, did you see where these Mkonzo for Karula went?
When she was about to after Buddha Winter Corridor, she crossed the border towards the Palestine area there. That is the first border. Yes,
okay, copy, thanks. So, these tracks went north, and then they went west, and then she went south to Simbambili. So even if I didn't see Karula, or no, I didn't see her. Even if she wasn't seen yesterday, and we found leopard tracks, female leopard tracks, with cubs, anywhere within the area that we drive, it is most likely Karula. And we can sort of say it's Karula with confidence because of the territorial nature of leopard and the fact that it's very seldom going to be other leopard within the leopard's territory. Their territories, actually, or home ranges, will overlap to some degree. We have seen Ntima coming into Karula's territory. We've had her daughters come back into her territory. We used to have Nkanyeni from the north coming south, this far south into Karula's territory. We used to have white cloth, so it's not impossible for another female to be here, but in terms of consistent presence of leopard, most of the time we find leopard tracks here around Djuma. It's going to be Karula. Different matter when we find tracks of a male, because there are a number of males that have come through here. The main character for this part of the world is Yambilu Yordan. We're now almost smack bang in the middle of his territory. But Mafufunyan, Bula, Mishu Induna, a bunch of other males are around. We can't always be sure of who the tracks are. There are times that you can actually see subtle differences when you get to see a particular leopard's tracks often enough. There are times where you get to see subtle differences in tracks. Maybe there's a toe that's a little bit skew, or maybe there's a particular mark, a scar, or a particular feature of a toe or a pad that is unique to a leopard, and then it becomes quite easy. I used to know a hyena that had a bent foot. The left front was bent to the side. You could tell her tracks from any other hyena tracks. I did, but I didn't understand any of it. Kora, K-O-R-A. Okay. I'm hearing this question from Linda. Is it Linda? Lynn, sorry, Lynn. Lynn. I'm not quite sure what Lynn is asking. I mean, I understand the rehab part. Kora, I don't recall mentioning Kora. Or Kora is a place in Kenya.
I think maybe she got confused with the Ngora part.
Oh. Kahumas or sticks. I'm trying to put this into context. Have we ever had to? Is what? I'm not too sure. Sorry, I'm talking aloud now. Is the rehab still there? I'm not too sure what that means. Have we ever had to rehab? I don't know. Rehabilitate the lion? Yes. Oh, snake trap. I remember once, many years ago, here in the Sabi Sand, we had a lioness that had been caught in a snare, and she had to be darted eventually. And then the snare was cut off. Had damaged her so badly that we thought she would die. She was emaciated. But she healed, and she recovered, and she became an exceptionally large lioness. She used to be able to kill. Well, in fact, I saw it with my own eyes on a number of occasions, killing adult wildebeest, bulls, male wildebeest on her own, bringing them down. She raised two sub-adult males, two males, two cubs that I saw until I watched them from very, very young until they were 3.5 when I left there. Very healthy lion. Her name was Scar because the hair that grew back around her neck where she had been cut so badly with a snare came back very dark. It looked like she had this, well, she did have this huge scar on her neck. But I'm not too sure what you mean by Cora, and I'm not too sure what you mean by the rehab center. Which one? And maybe Lynn, if you could just give me a little bit more info and tell me what I said that made you take that line of thought, because then I can rewind in my head. Oh, I said Nkoro. Nkoro is a lodge about 5 miles east of us. Left, right,
Go straight.
straight. We can go straight. Have very steep little drainage line. We might just lose signal here briefly. I was trying to decide which way to go. Daniel said straight, so I'm going straight. This is Yambilu Yodan's territory. This is Yambilu Yodan's favorite drainage line. Because you can hide in here and whoa!
Still on.
You still there? More the shark, more the very deep drainage line that we lose the picture in. Probably why we don't use this road very much. Oops. Mind the rocks, Mark. Try and avoid the rocks. Has this been sticking out of my head all morning? Oh, I'm wearing gang colours this morning. So when I was opening, this was sticking out. The whole morning, I've had this lens cloth sticking out of my hat. Lovely. I remember putting it in my hat last night to bring it on drive to clean my binoculars and my glasses and my camera. Speaking of which, let me just clean my eyes. So, what is our next stop? Wonder when we're going to get Wild Dog back again. I haven't seen Wild Dog for months. Many months, many moons. This road has recently been dragged and smoothed. Very recently. So I'm hoping we're going to find some elephant tracks maybe coming across. See what's on Hyena Road, looks like something here. Looks like male lion, but then that must be the Styx male. This must be the tracks that were on Vulture's Nest. Must have come this way, because if you take Hyena Road straight south, you eventually end up on Vulture's Nest. So this must be the same lion that they found on the dam north of here in Biffleshoek. Okay. Okay. Maybe something around Biffleshoek Dam. I feel like the car's leaning because of a puncture. I think it's just the road. Drying up fast, the bush. Grasses have turned brown very quickly. Hilke in the Netherlands. After mentioning wild dog, you're asking if these are domestic dogs that have escaped from villages and gone wild. No. This is the problem with common names, because the name wild dog does maybe conjure up images of domestic dogs gone wild, what we would call feral dogs. But no, these are the African hunting dogs. There is another lion track. I don't know, either that's a very big leopard or it's a small lion. We'll see. It's going down to Buffelshoek Dam. We've got a heavy Ambilu Jordan because he's got a full belly. His pad can spread out so much. It looks quite round. That his tracks can almost be the size of a small lioness. Interesting. Cat tracks everywhere today again. Hilke, these are African hunting dogs with the painted wolves. They used to be known as Cape hunting dogs. These are indigenous endangered species. The wild dogs that I'm talking about are as part of the bush as lion and leopard and cheetah. Can we have another cat at this dam, please? On the dam wall, maybe? No. Nobody here. I'm going to just have a look for tracks quickly. Or maybe let me just go forward a little and we can... look across the dam while I'm just looking for tracks. I don't see anything. Maybe on the other side of the dam we'll see something. The geese are too quiet for there to be a cat around. Lucky the hippo were all on that side of the dam after walking next to the water. I did make sure they were far enough away, but you know, hippo can move quickly. Never take it for granted that they're far away. Okay. There were some elephant tracks, young elephants, walking around the edge of the water. That brown-hooded kingfisher again has just flown away. Yeah, these leopard tracks now also coming through here. Yeah, no. See where he went to from here. Just gonna look at that. Excuse me again.
Definitely something in there.
Hmm? Yeah, and it doesn't have hooves either. Something that moved. I think it's him. Or I don't know. It's 1 minute it looks like a big male leopard, and I'm only seeing toes. I'm not seeing a full track. There isn't a really decent patch of sand here that's got a full track. It's very thick in here. Let's see if we can see something. Something slipped through the grasses, quietly slipped away. I'm not going to get in there, not easily. There's a mouse. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see that mouse? No, it wasn't the mouse that moved in the grass that got my heart beating. I could just imagine somebody thinking that. Come on, earpiece. Play along. Sorry, were you trying to get that now? I'm determined to try and see what it was that was moving in the grass, because I got a feeling it was. I didn't get a growl or anything. Normally, even with a leopard, you get a bit of a growl. how to get in here. I'm not seeing anything. Must have slipped away. It would be nice to find another catch here, but I don't think we're going to. Really? Incredible. Just going way too deep. I didn't hear anything run, I just heard something move a few feet. To try, I suppose, worth the effort. If we were to find the likes of Yambilo Yadan hiding back here. I wonder if we could get all the way to Nyala Road. I've done it once upon a time. getting through here. We have to go back the way we came. Yeah, could get around. See that tree stump there? We can just get that side of that tree stump to get into that little patch of grassland. And there is a way to get through there, but it's a matter of finding that way. Now getting way too deep and off track. Bad news. No. Let's just go back to the dam. From whence we came. Did we come through here, I think? I'd love to know what that was. We may never know. But, why don't you go find it, Franklin? Yeah, you go in there, go find the cat for me. So that's why, where I was on the road there was a track going off, and there's not a track here of that cat at all. So I'm sure, I'm almost 100% sure that it was. And it's gone into this thicket, and it's possibly Ambilu Jordan. Who by now actually might be moving off. Oh, stay there, Kukul. Please stay there. Beautiful light on this bird. A bright red eye. This is Birchall's Kukul. There's some birds alarming off to our left. Wonderful to have this bird that is normally deep in cover, sitting out in the open, sunning himself. It's a striking bird, and it has a really beautiful call, which we only really hear in the wet season. And it gives it its other name, the rain bird, because the rains are associated with that call. Very difficult to mimic the call because it's a long flowing liquid note that you can't really. little baby kudu. All ears. Oh, runs back to mom. If we can get to see them. Don't go anywhere. Oh, she's gone. Maybe little one will stay there. Two youngsters. They, now I see it's a bit windy and they're in bushes making a noise. Mom's listening to something down in the drainage line. See if we can get a gap through the trees, maybe. More on our left, almost in the middle of the herd. Oh well, it's really so thick. It's ideal kudu country. This is kudu habitat. And those faint stripes of the kudu, just enough to break up their outline so that they can stand in this kind of a habitat and almost become invisible. And the kudu have the habit of standing dead still, and if they're not noticed, which they're not likely to be when they are standing dead still, if they're not noticed, danger can pass. But as soon as you look at them, as soon as one stops and looks at them, then they move off. Get that little one in there. Found it. Oh, it's moving again. Trying to maneuver so we can get a little view through the trees, but it's not easy. And not such a great view. But where the kudu on our left are feeding, this adult is listening, and it could be she's just making sure that where she's going is fairly safe, so she'll stop and listen to the area ahead of her. But I'm wondering if she isn't maybe hearing something, because she's up her hair feed now. The mother, I'm looking at, this is one of the calves. You can barely see it hidden behind the trees. over. I haven't seen that before. It might have been a storm, it might have been an elephant. But the marula tree that's fallen hasn't even been rained on yet. The ground around the roots that have been turned up is still very dry, and the way it crumbles, you can tell there hasn't been any rain on it. We pet, and actually a lot of people I've noticed are asking update on Jacques. I'm sorry, I can't tell you. There's absolutely nothing I can tell you. I have no idea. He's working somewhere else at the moment. I have no idea whether he's, I don't know. It's not in the immediate future, as far as I know. I don't know where we are with that. Dragging thick. Did you hear it? Pardon? No, I just thought I heard the sound of a stick under the car. Might just because there's so many dry leaves. It's hard when I've got something in one ear, and so my hearing is impaired because of the earpiece in one ear and the noise of the vehicle, the rumble of the engine. Hides other sounds or muffles them. Pan. I've only been buffalo in this part of the world since yesterday. Quite remarkably, still some water in Pan. Not much else around here. Let's see what tracks there might be. Small mammal tracks. Small nocturnal mammals. Civet, Janet. Human. Human with a panga or machete. See, I can tell in the tracks of this human that they're carrying a machete. What we call a panga. Then you go to Mexico. Talk about a panga. I think it's Mexico. Panga is a small boat. Where or what? I don't think what country that is. I remember somewhere along the line in my travels, I came across panga. P-A-N-G-A. Anyone can enlighten me, please do so. So, ooh, fresh rhino been spraying. It's got to be around here somewhere. This is still soaking wet. Big male rhino has been here. He's been spraying his and dragging his feet. Try and get to a position where I can show that to you. He headed north. And him walking. Spray, urinate, retrograde, what's it called? Something retrograde, whatever. Huge tracks. Just turn slightly like that. Sandy Patch got some rhino. Is there any update for the last hour or so? Let's go up onto Biffles or Cutline, we might see him. The ground is still wet, the tracks are so fresh, but it just goes off the eastern side of Cheetah Cutline. So he might just be in here somewhere. Hopefully winding his way through. There's more grasses for a rhino here on this open patch of ground where the fire break part is. In terms of how fresh that is, I would say that if we hadn't have gone at Buffelshoek Dam, if we hadn't have gone into the bush and spent, what was it, better part of half an hour looking for something there, we might have actually seen this rhino here if we'd come out here. That's how recent it has been. Zebra tracks going south. But where he left the road, the angle, if he carried on in that sort of direction, the angle would have taken him quite far in. I was just hoping that maybe he followed the fire break, well, Cheetah Cutline fire break. A lot of these areas, yeah, here we go, tracks on the road again. Very fresh. So he did come back to the fire break. Must have missed him. We now at Buffelshoek Cutline and he's still heading north. But really must have missed him by minutes. Where'd he go? Where did he cross? I Must have gone back east. Didn't come this way. It cost the fire break. 30 yards, 20-30 yards before Buffalo's cut line, and then he must have done a 90-degree turn. Not here. Not at all. Tomorrow we'll catch up with Rhino. Another world group handy patch. This is someone else. This is a big bull. Guessing he must have crossed just up ahead somewhere where we can't go. Let's see if I can pick up his tracks again here and get an idea. It's just not too far from here. His tracks were on this. Yeah, right here. And that's what, it's not even 10 yards. 20-30 feet. They must have crossed, he was in, so they must have gone through here. Can you see on that side of the road? Pardon? Very strange. It's like he just in front of the vehicle, there are tracks that are coming straight this way, and then suddenly they just disappear. But I'm guessing because he turned and he must have gone in that way. Oh well. Whatever way he went, he's not here. Where should we go? Down to the cut line again. Really close. Close doesn't count though. Dusky flycatcher. You'd have to go and catch something the minute we put the camera on you. Oh, we're sitting so nicely in the open. Also, Kombi and Kwanzaa, fresh and Kwanzaa crossing from Cheetah Cut Line into Buckles. Ephraim, come in. Yeah, is there any other update other than Kombi at Fanny Pit? Okay, good. Hello Cheryl, sorry you missed the beginning of the drive. Hoping you were with us for the lion though. And wanting to know if we saw the eclipse last night. We had a beautiful view of the eclipse. It was really magical. Something like that you don't miss. Something like that is a very special event. I think about it. The third total eclipse of the moon that I've seen since the one I saw in Nairobi in '97. So that's what, 14 years. 3 I've seen in 14 years. Not too sure when our next total eclipse will be. It's probably about 20 or 30 years. No, maybe not that long. This rhino has been smelling something because they're not drag marks, but they're marks on the road from his bottom lip dragging on the ground. And that means that he's following the scent of something. Something like another rhino, of course. First I thought it was drag marks, but it's not. It's rhino bottom lip. Central Road. And it's time to do something with the clutch again. Elephants. Rhino down there. Finally we get a rhino. Sleeping in the road. Another one. Walking backwards. I just saw this thing and it took me a minute to register that it's a rhino sleeping in the road. Oh, I see, you mean from these tracks? Yeah, only this is a huge male that's been walking here, and this is a youngster that's lying in the road. But yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe it was walking backwards. Not such a young one either. They look so funny when they lie down like that. These are youngsters, only about a 2-year-old, maybe 2.5. Sorry, I can't get it out of gear because the clutch. And there's another one, probably mom. Short-horn female. Sorry, I can't get it out of gear, so I just had to stall it, turn the key off. I'm gonna have to do anything to see these rhino. I'm gonna have to quickly put some clutch fluid in before I get too close, before if they hear me walking around, they might run. So let me just do this quickly.
It's like short one.
Could be. That's maybe that's this male and female pair that we see all the time. What a time to have to put in clutch fluid. So 4 sandy patch, 2 here, plus 1 that crossed over to Torchwood come Biffleshoek. 7 rhino, at least 7 rhino. It's going to be a quick fix. Come on, get working. There we go. Still got a bit of pumping to do. There we go. Got our clutch back. Oh, this thing's squeaking again. No, don't squeak now. Yeah, this is the female and male pair that we often seen here. From here all the way down to Twin Dams, Treehouse Dam. Hello, little girl. Sorry, Seb, if you're trying to talk to me, didn't have my earpiece in. And a new tree across the road on Mumba Road. So much for going to take Mumba Road. Tunkombi to the cut line, Mumba Junction. Square-lipped rhinoceros. Be nice to one day find a hook-lipped rhinoceros. I'm sure that tree wasn't there yesterday.
Yeah.
Let's go and get a better view of these children. The guarri branch doesn't make too much noise. No, that's not shorthorn. He's quite a big male. This. For now, let's stop here. Wow, so many go-away birds around. Wasn't me. Something startled her. Hmm? Apart from the luries, something made her spin around. I was talking about earlier, I was talking about how fast they can run and how fast they can turn. And the rhino are very much the same. Both animals, although they tend to have round bodies and tend to be stocky legs, hippo even shorter. It's the head that makes the difference. It's a huge head with all that weight is what helps them turn. As they use that head to pivot as a counterweight. A net. Rhinos are not monogamous. So you can't really refer to an animal that is not monogamous as something that mates for life. It's only really the monogamous species that you could say mate for life. Because territorial ownership can change, territories can change ownership. And with that, females can change allegiance. I wonder if we can get around the other side of this marula tree. Some lovely short grasses that she's grazing on around the base of this marula tree, and that is because in the fruiting season, a couple of months ago, see how she's listening to just a little bit of movement from the vehicle in the grasses without the engine on. Makes a huge difference to some of the animals. But this marula tree would have dropped all its fruit in January, and the elephants and the animals spending time underneath these trees collecting the fruit made the grasses so much shorter. And what that does is it just opens up for the type of grasses that the rhino would want. Should give this pair a name, actually. I think Ginger, thinking of couples in the past. John and Jackie. Nelson and Winnie. Go away, fly, I'm busy. They're quite relaxed, but they are slowly grazing, and that means that they're slowly moving into areas that we can't follow. We'll try keep up with them. It's getting a bit thicker. Hello, Paddy. We patch. Can rhinos or dragging something. Can rhinos knock down trees like elephants? Well, I think I've just broken that Combriton branch that was lying on the ground. Smaller trees, I guess theoretically they could, but there's no reason for them to do so. And even a black rhino that is a browser that is eating leaves, there's no need. Get to see him a little bit because he's actually quite a magnificent rhino. Okay, if only we could see his face better. Elephants push trees down. Sorry, elephants push trees over for various parts of the trees, but also there are times of the year that elephant will do so that they can get to the roots. Now, neither of the two rhino species eat root or need to eat the roots. I guess their metabolism is different. Their diet is certainly different. Especially, well, this rhino being a grazer, there's no need for it to even think about anything on a tree other than using it as a rubbing post. So I can't imagine why a rhino would think of even. No, wouldn't happen. And the weight of a rhino, the size of a rhino, they could put their weight behind themselves and push a small tree over if they had to, if they needed to, or if it was part of their makeup, but they don't. I thought this was a nice earpiece, but it's not. Man, it says Denham in Florida, I think. How often are white albino rhino born? Sorry, I didn't have my earpiece in there. So say that again. Oh, sorry, Colorado. testing other earpieces because, well, I need to, and this one was working fine initially, but it keeps falling out of my ear as well. So I have never known an albino rhino to be born. I don't know of any albino rhino. I guess it's possible. Everything, I suppose, somewhere along the line, every animal species there can be an albino of anything. But unfortunately, as far as my history is concerned, I have never known a white rhino, albino white rhino, or even an albino black rhino, or even a leucistic rhino. So I would say extremely rare to get an albino white rhino. Little girl is, this young female, she's quite happy with us, but he tends to move off. They're almost on this lovely open area on Drakensberg Drive. Yes, beautiful light. Come out this way, old man. See that magnificent horn of yours. Lucy and Daisy, no. I don't think he'll take too kindly to be called Lucy. So I'm not too sure who that was from. Elizabeth, sorry. Fred and Wilma from Cheryl. Yeah, Fred and Wilma, that's pretty cool. And Elizabeth was also asking if they make any sound. They do indeed. They everything from high-pitched squeals to grunts. In general, sure. Just getting. Look at the size of this boy. I'm gonna stop talking now. His horn is like 10 feet away from my face. A lot of huffing and puffing. Chuffing, I think, would be a name for it, as their communicative calls. right behind us now. That velvety fluffiness of at the base of the horn is no longer there now in the dry season. We're all clamoring about on the vehicle to try and watch them. Trying to do it as quiet as possible. That was incredible. That was really special that they came so close. It always is. No matter how many times it happens, it's always really in a similar way to elephant, but elephant is different because there's a different spiritual sort of being with elephant. Rhino, I suppose maybe it's because elephant is so expressive in that I can read with their ears and their trunk and their tail and their eyes. With rhino it's a little bit different because, sorry, let's go and follow them because they're going to move out onto that open area now and we can just stay with them till the end of drive. But that moment that we had now was just that rhino are just so much more unpredictable. I mean, everything is unpredictable here, but rhino just so much more so. Okay, we're going to start up. Because I guess I've seen them change moods so quickly in the past. The rhino standing so close next to the vehicle, the horn as big as that, if he just suddenly gets nervous and for some reason retaliates or wants to act defensively, and in most cases in nature attack is the best form of defense, he could swing that head and that horn so quickly that I wouldn't be able to react. But I trust him. I trust that there would be no reason to suddenly get aggressive. No threat to them. And that's asking about their eyesight, such big heads and such small eyes. And their eyesight is rather poor. Of course, we can only guess, I guess, in some ways, scientists, from a scientific point of view, having a look at the eye and the composition of the eye, one can get some idea of what their eyesight is like. But generally they have very poor eyesight, and I think that's evidenced by the way they react to things. I've certainly been with rhino on foot, where standing dead still and not making any sound, I've had rhino come as close to me as this on foot, and not see me, and then it's only when one makes a noise and they look up that they react. But I would say that there may be 50 to 100 yards decent vision. Interesting question from Vivian, wanting to know if she gets close to the vehicle, would he react? Would he become possessive? I don't think so, Vivian. Well, it has happened already this morning. It's happened on other occasions when we've been with them. Look at that, feeding nose to nose. Loving couple. We're not a rhino, so we wouldn't pose I don't think from that point of view we wouldn't pose a threat. On the other hand, a cow with a calf might react differently. You know, rhino, the white rhino, this rhino, the square-lipped rhinoceros, they do. Well, they are known as relatively passive. I mean, they're known as very relaxed animals, and that's why they're just so easy to poach these days. That's why the poachers are having a field day. And the black rhino has a reputation for being a lot more aggressive, being a solitary animal and being an animal that lives in relatively thick bush. But the one thing about the white rhino is that when they've got a calf, the female can be extremely aggressive, very protective. He's going to run over time a little. Repatch. Have I ever known the horn to get stuck in anything? No, I haven't known. Never come across any. And all the time that I've watched rhino, I've never seen them get their horn stuck in anything. Can't imagine why. It's tapered, and of course they have this huge body. The weight that they have should make it pretty difficult for that horn to get stuck in anything. Okay, that's close enough. Okay, we're going to test this theory now. If she lifts her head, that horn will go in my leg. We're testing this question. If she gets close, will he get protective and rather possessive? We'll see now. Mrs. Rhino, your horn and head is a little bit too close to me. Thank you very much. I could pinch her on the bum. Only she'd probably swing round before I could get back in the vehicle. No oxpeckers. That's just looking at some of the ticks in the folds of the skin on her leg and under her tail. I suddenly realized there are no oxpeckers with them today. Nana Kia. Is there a purpose to the smaller horn? But if you look at the position of the smaller horn, it's right above the eye, so it does offer some protection to the eye. In fact, I guess its main function is to protect the eye. The bigger horn, the front horn, protecting the snout, the main weapon. Oh, there we go. In the presence of two dinosaurs. And they are like dinosaurs. And we have things like Triceratops and some of those dinosaurs with weird things on them. You can almost imagine a rhino fitting in just fine with the dinosaurs. And that brings us to the end of our morning. Finally catching up with lion and rhino. We've, after 3 days of finding tracks and not managing to find any cats or rhino. My name is Mark, and we haven't decided on their names yet, but we will one of these days. Seb is in final control, Daniel and Becky on camera. This has been Wildlife Safari. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. It's been fun. Bye.